There's a watch in this video that costs $59 and one that costs $290. Both of them are better suited to a man over 60 than almost anything in a jeweler's window at 10 times the money, and almost nobody is buying them. Not because they're bad, because the entire watch industry is built around selling to men in their 30s who want to be noticed, and it has very little to say to someone who stopped needing that a long time ago. So here's what actually matters when you've been wearing watches for 40 years. You want to read the time without hunting for it. You want to put it on without a fight. You do not want to drive somewhere every 2 years because a battery died. And you do not want a watch that announces anything about you at all. That's a short list. It's also a list the industry finds commercially inconvenient because none of it involves spending a lot of money. 6 watches nobody's talking about, and every one of them gets it right. Let's start at number 6. Number 6, Casio MDV 106 Duro. $59, down from $85. Let's be clear about what that buys, because it's more than it sounds. Stainless steel case, a rotating bezel, 200 meters of water resistance. And that's the real figure, achieved with a screw-down crown and a screw-down caseback, which are the two things that actually keep water out, and the two things budget watches usually skip. But here's why it's on this list specifically. Look at the dial. Large luminous markers, broad hands, enormous contrast between white markers and a black face. There is nothing on it competing for your attention. No second time zone, no subdials, no decorative texture. That is legibility as a design principle, and it happened by accident. Casio built this dial for divers reading it through a mask in dark water. The same choices that make it work at 40 meters make it work across a room without your glasses. And the practical part nobody mentions. At $59, this is the watch you wear to do things in. Gardening, the workshop, the boat, the beach. If it gets scratched, you will not care. And that is a specific kind of freedom that a $2,000 watch never gives you. Ask an experienced collector to name the best value under $100, and a startling number say this without pausing. Not as a joke, as the answer. The one thing to know, it's 44 millimeters, which is on the larger side. That works in your favor for reading it. But if you prefer something smaller on the wrist, the next one is 40, and the next one solves the problem this one doesn't. The battery. Number 5, Citizen Corso EcoDrive. $175. The regular price is $350. Now let me explain why this is the single most useful feature on this entire list, and why almost nobody talks about it properly. The Corso runs on EcoDrive. There's a solar cell under the dial that converts any light, daylight, a table lamp, the light in the room you're in right now, into stored power. Fully charged, it runs for months in the dark. There is no battery to replace. Not in 2 years. Not in 10. Not ever. Here's why that matters more than any specification on a box. Think about what actually happens with a normal quartz watch. The battery dies. You need to take it somewhere. That means finding a jeweler who does it, driving there, leaving the watch, going back. It's a small errand, but it's an errand. And the honest truth is that most watches die in a drawer not because they broke, but because nobody got round to that errand. Remove it, and the watch simply stays in use. Permanently. And the Corso is genuinely handsome about it. 40 millimeters, 316L stainless steel case and bracelet. Deep navy dial with silver bar markers. The hands are sword-shaped and broad. And they're loomed, so they read in the dark. 100 meters of water resistance, so you can swim in it. A date window at 3 o'clock. Now, the honest bit on the price. $175 is a sale price against a $350 list, and sale prices move. Check it before you buy. But even at full price, this is a lot of watch, and at half price, it is genuinely difficult to argue with. The next one is the thinnest watch here, and there's a reason that matters. Number 4, Timex Marlin Classic. $193. The Marlin first appeared in the mid-60s. It was the dress watch for people who needed to look like they cared without spending money they didn't have. Teachers, office workers, young men in their first suit. There is a reasonable chance you or your father owned one. Timex brought it back, and what came back is worth your attention for one specific reason. It's thin, and it's curved. Most watches today are thick discs that sit on top of your wrist. This one has a case shaped to sit against it, and a slim profile that slides under a cuff without catching. If you've ever taken a watch off because it kept snagging on a shirt sleeve, that's the entire problem this solves. The dial is exactly what a dress watch dial should be. Arabic numerals, clean hands, high contrast, nothing else. You read it instantly. There's no date window to squint at, no decoration in the way, and there's a piece of context worth knowing. Timex has been making watches since the 1850s. They survived the quartz crisis by making affordable quartz watches while Swiss companies were closing. They survived the digital era and the smartwatch boom by not trying to compete with either. They just kept making watches for people who wanted a watch. That's 170 years of knowing what a watch needs to do. Sold for under $200 because there's no story attached to the price. The next one is the plainest watch in this video, and that's the point. Number 3. Citizen Dress Classic Eco Drive. $224. You will have noticed a pattern by now, and I'm going to address it directly rather than pretend it isn't there. 3 of the 6 watches in this video are Citizens. That's not laziness on my part, it's the conclusion. Because if the most valuable thing a watch can do for a man over 60 is never require maintenance, then solar is not one feature among many. It's the feature. And Citizen has been developing EcoDrive since the 1970s, roughly 50 years of refining the same core technology, in-house, at a scale nobody else matches at this price. The competition simply does not have an equivalent. That's not favoritism. That's the market. So, this one, 40 millimeters, 3/16L stainless steel, and a dial so plain it's almost defiant. Simple markers, 2 or 3 hands, no clutter, no date fighting for space. 30 meters of water resistance, which is the one genuine limitation here. That's rain and hand washing, not swimming. If you want to swim, number 5 or number 1. But what you get for the compromise is the cleanest dial on this list. Nothing to interpret. You glance, you know the time, you move on. There is a particular satisfaction in owning a watch that nobody can price by looking at it. You know what it cost. Nobody else does. That's a kind of quiet the expensive brands charge a marketing budget to manufacture and don't reliably deliver. The next one weighs almost nothing, and that turns out to matter more than anyone expects. Number 2. Citizen Brycen Super Titanium Eco Drive. $262, down from $525. Titanium, and specifically Citizen's own Super Titanium, which they treat with a surface hardening process. The company states it's around 5 times harder than stainless steel. 2 things follow from that, and both of them matter more with time. Weight. Titanium is substantially lighter than steel. A steel watch on a steel bracelet has real heft, and after 8 hours, that heft becomes something you're aware of. This doesn't. You put it on in the morning and stop noticing it, which is the highest compliment you can pay a watch you intend to wear every day. And it doesn't mark. Steel picks up hairline scratches from door frames, desks, and car doors. And after 2 years, a polished steel bracelet looks like it's been through something. Hardened titanium resists that. The watch looks the same in year 5 as it did in year 1. There's a third thing worth mentioning plainly. Titanium is hypoallergenic. If steel bracelets have ever irritated your wrist, and that becomes more common with age, not less, this removes the problem entirely. 41 millimeters on a leather strap. Eco Drive inside, so the same rule applies. No battery, ever. At full price of $525, this is a considered purchase. At $262, it is the best specified watch in this video by a distance. And the number 1 watch here is the most legible thing on this list, at any price. Number 1. Citizen Promaster, C. Eco Drive Dive. $290, down from $475. And it earns the top spot for a reason that has nothing to do with diving. Promaster is Citizen's professional line, built for divers, pilots, and field use, with the specifications to back the claim rather than the styling to suggest it. And professional dive watches are, without intending to be, the most legible watches ever made. Think about the design brief. A diver needs to read this instantly, through a mask, in poor light, under stress, possibly with something else demanding their attention. Every single design decision follows from that. Enormous, luminous markers. Broad hands with a strong contrast between hour and minute. Maximum separation between the dial color and everything on it. No decoration, no clutter, nothing subtle. Now take that watch out of the water and put it on a man reading it across a kitchen table at 7 in the morning without his glasses. It is, accidentally, the best designed watch in existence for exactly that. And it stacks everything else in this video on top. Solar, so no battery ever. Serious water resistance, so rain, swimming, and washing up are all irrelevant. A case built to survive things. There's one honest caveat, and it's the same one from number 6. Dive watches are large because legibility requires size. If you want something discreet under a cuff, this isn't it. Number 4 is. But if the question is, which watch here, you will still be reading easily in 10 years. This is the answer, and it costs $290. Look back at those 6 and notice what none of them have. No subdials, no complications you'd never use, no brand you'd have to explain. Not one of them costs more than $300, and not one of them asks anything of you after you've bought it. That's not a coincidence, and it isn't a compromise either. It's what happens when you buy a watch for what it does instead of what it says. And it turns out that most of what the industry charges for is the saying. 2 practical notes before you go. Several of these are sale prices against much higher list prices, and sale prices move. Check before you buy. And if you're between 2 of them, the deciding question isn't the specification. It's whether you want something you can read across a room, or something that disappears under a shirt cuff. Those pull in opposite directions, and only you know which one you actually want. Tell me in the comments which of these you'd wear. And if you've owned one, I want to know how it held up. 10 years of actual ownership beats anything I can read off a spec sheet. If this was useful, hit subscribe.